Welcome back to our Blue Z Water channel. Today I'd like to do a follow-up video on treating the thyroid. We have some new additions, and we're going to refer to some of our old videos and blogs and just update some new information. So please enjoy. Thank you. Okay, so when addressing the thyroid, there's some key categories we need to look at. Basically, we can divide this into two categories. One is, first of all, detoxification, getting rid of the harmful agents that compromise the endocrine gland system, in particular the thyroid. And two is, what are the nutrients, what do we need to feed the thyroid to get it back into balance? So this is a blog I wrote that talks about Blue Z Water and David Brownstein's iodine protocol. David Brownstein is one of the renowned experts in iodine therapy. So basically what he talks about is, first of all, removing toxic bromine, chlorine, and fluorine, and then feeding the thyroid iodine, which is the number one food of the thyroid. Bromine, chlorine, and fluorine mimic iodine, but they're harmful for the thyroid. Iodine is the healing food of the thyroid. Blue Z Water excels at removing toxins such as heavy metals and chemicals. It will pull out the bromine, the chlorine, and the fluorine and do a lot better job than what Dr. Brownstein is recommending. If you use his protocol, you're going to find that the detox process can be quite aggravating. He is using iodine essentially, and he recommends Celtic sea salt to displace the bromine, chlorine, and fluorine, but in reality a lot of people get aggravations. So I would recommend, as it says in this blog, starting off with the Blue Z Water to pull out a large load of the bromine, chlorine, and fluorine for maybe a month or two, using a gentler form of iodine called nascent iodine. Then you can migrate over to the Lugol's iodine. But essentially you are not going to use the iodine anymore to pull out the bromine, chlorine, and fluorine. You're going to use the Blue Z Water as a global detox agent. It's amazing at pulling out metals and chemicals. And by the way, Dr. David Brownstein doesn't really get much into mercury or the toxic heavy metals, but they can be very offending to the thyroid and the whole endocrine gland system. So please read this blog, and number one, get on the Blue Z Water and detox your body from metals, chemicals, plus all the other healing benefits of the Blue Z Water, which, by the way, briefly, let's just look at it. So Blue Z Water is a complete medical chemical detox product. It also puts activated oxygen into the body, so it works on microorganisms, which also, by the way, can affect the entire body's function if you have an infection of any sort, a low-level virus, fungus, etc. So please read up and look at our protocols for doing Blue Z Water for getting rid of microorganisms. Blue Z Water also is an antioxidant therapy, so we don't want to get into a lot of complexity here, but anytime you try to burn up toxins, which oxygen, think of it as like a flame, you need to get rid of the byproduct of oxidation, which is why we have antioxidant therapy. Blue Z Water does both. It actually is a pro-oxidant therapy and an antioxidant therapy. Then the trace minerals are very important overall for the body, because it feeds the body with vital trace minerals which help it rebalance itself and heal defective genetic DNA. Structured water therapy simply means that this creates much more hydration than normal water. This is actually super hydrated water. Alrighty, so let's move on. So once you're on your way to detoxifying the body, yes, you want to feed the body iodine, and this blog will explain that, and you can watch this video. So once again, start off with the gentler iodine, the nascent or atomic iodine, while you're detoxing, and then once you're 2 or 3 months in, you can migrate over to what's called Lugol's iodine, which is a heavier form of iodine, or stick with the atomic iodine. Either one is good. You're not going to again be using the Lugol's iodine to displace bromine, chlorine, and fluorine, so it's your choice. You can try it. It will do some displacement if you use it. It never hurts to double up, but just play around and see what works for you. Now, also in terms of feeding or regenerating that thyroid, getting it back into working order, a lot of people will take a product called Synthroid, these thyroid medications that essentially, when you go to the doctor and they say you have low thyroid function, they're going to give you this medication called Synthroid, or Amarol is an animal-based product. The natural way to do this is using animal glandulars. Now, we have this blog here, Treating the Endocrine Gland System with Glandular Supplements. So the only problem with doing this is what do you take, and this is, here we have a glandular chart. These are some of the glandulars that feed the endocrine gland system. Now, with low thyroid function, you would think you would take, thyroid glandular or as the main first thinking, but in my case, for instance, I found that the pituitary glandular was the most effective, because the pituitary is the master gland for the whole endocrine gland system. And when I took this, it did help to rebalance the thyroid. And I also found that I needed this, what's called orchic or male glandulars, some liver, and also some pancreas. The pancreas is responsible for a huge amount of enzymatic activity in the body. So when you help tonify the pancreas, it's going to help overall function. So the question becomes, how do you know which products to take, which glandulars to take? These are very effective at feeding the endocrine gland system, but essentially, as we explain in this blog, there's two ways to kind of ask your body when you're taking any supplement whether it's beneficial or not. One is using a pendulum, which is what we talk about. It's easy to do, however, it's the kind of thing that you're either good at it or you're not. So please read this blog and follow the links to our videos on how to use a pendulum. If you naturally take to doing that, it's one of the simplest ways in real time, no matter what you're taking, to ask your body, do I need this now? How much should I take? And you can look at videos on how to use a pendulum. The key in using a pendulum, once you are able to get a responsive yes/no answer, is in asking accurate questions. You can't say, well, is this good for me? Do I need you? It's better to say, do I need this right now? Then you're going to ask what kind of dosage you might need to take. You really need to practice with this and get good at it before you're going to start applying it to what you're going to ingest in terms of supplements. Another technique is called muscle testing or kinesiology. You can Google that, and usually that works best with another person. It's the same basic principle of getting your body to tell you yes or no based on the questions you ask of the body. In this case, you're using the strength and the weakness of the muscle to say this is good or not good. When the body stays strong, that says it's positive. When the body goes weak, it goes negative. A lot of chiropractors will use muscle testing. Kinesiology has been around a long time. There's different applications. In this case, it's simply a way to ask pertinent questions in terms of supplements. So check into that. If you get good at one of these techniques, it's an invaluable tool for the rest of your life, because you can ask your body in real time what it resonates with. All right, so now we're going to move on to using essential oils directly on the thyroid itself. This is another added benefit. This is a product I bought on Etsy. It has some key essential oils that are excellent for the thyroid. Here they're listed: spruce, rosewood, geranium, cinnamon, myrtle, lemongrass, myrrh, clove, frankincense. So you're going to mix the essential oil with some carrier oil that they provide, coconut oil, at about anywhere from a 5 to 15% solution, and then they have a roller bottle you can put it in, and you're going to just literally roll that essential oil directly on the thyroid gland. Now, I sometimes add a little, I will put on the skin right after I roll it on, a wee bit of DMSO, which helps carry it more deeply to the tissue. DMSO is a carrier agent. Please Google and read about it. We could send you a little ebook on it if you're interested, but you have to be very careful with DMSO. It helps things go deeper. It potentiates any kind of nutritional roll-on product, and it's good on inflammation, and basically it's a potentiator for delivering medicine. Okay, now for some more advanced techniques,